So we're going to go over 3 different ways that we could answer this question. I'm not going to give you the answer, but I will do everything to help you set up the problem so you can figure it out on your own. So we know 3 things. First, we know that there were 30 total questions on our test. Next, we know that we got an 85%. So 85% of the 30 questions we got right. And we know that we're looking for the number of questions that we got correct. So we're first going to use a double number line to determine this. Next, we'll use a proportion. And finally, we'll do kind of the shortcut for calculating the part. So let's start with a double number line. We're going to set up our 2 number lines. The bottom is going to be our percent. And the top number line will be the number of questions we got correct. So we know that if we did not get any questions right, that would be a 0%. And to get 100%, we would have to get all of the questions right. And in this case, there are 30 questions, so we would have to get 30 correct in order to get 100%. And we need to figure out what 85% would be. This is what we're looking for. If we got an 85, how many questions would we get correct here? So let's use what we know, 100% being 30 questions, to help fill in the rest. So if we divided 100 by 2, that would give us 50%. And we can do the same thing with 30. Divided by 2 will be 15. So if we got 15 questions correct, we would get a 50%. So how do we get up to 85% here? Well, I'm thinking a good strategy might be to go up by 10%. So we'll have 80% and we'll have 90%, and then we can find the middle of that. So to find 10%, I know I need to do 50 divided by 5. I need to go up 5 points to go from 0 to 50. So each of those would be 10%. So 10, 20, 30, 40, and then 50. So if we line up our questions correct, 30, 40%, we need to divide 15 by 5 as well, and that gives us a nice easy number. 15 divided by 5 is 3. So every 3 questions we get right, that's 10% higher on our test. So 3 questions would be 10%, 6 questions would be 20, 9 questions would be 30, 12 questions would be 40. So let's keep going with this pattern until we get 80 and 90%. So we said 15 would be 50%. So we'll go up another 3 questions and another 10%. So 60% would be 18. 70% would be 21. 80% would be 24. And then 90% would be 27. So if we look here, we have 85% is halfway between 80 and 90. If we got an 80, we would have gotten 24 questions correct. If we got a 90, we would have gotten 27 questions correct. So see if you can figure out how many questions we got correct if we got an 85. So halfway between 80% and 90%. So think about what number is halfway between 24 and 27. If you don't like using the double number line, that's okay. We can also set up a proportion. So as we've seen in the past, we know our proportion is going to be part divided by whole equals percent over 100. So looking at what we know, the numbers that we have 85 and 30. Now I notice that there's a percent sign after the 85, so that's a clear indication that 85 is going to be our percent. So 85 out of 100. And then we just need to figure out, is 30 the part or the whole? Well, 30 was the total number of questions. So this is the total. So since that was our total, that tells us that 30 is going to be the whole. If we got all 30 questions correct, we would have gotten 100%. And then this part is what we're looking for. All right, we have 2 steps to solving this. First, we multiply diagonally. And then second, we divide by the number that's left. So where is our diagonal? Since I don't have the part, I can't multiply these 2 numbers. So that means this is my diagonal that I multiply by. And then 100 is the number that's left, so divide by 100. If these 2 steps are not your favorite, the double number line or the proportion, you can always use our shortcut. So our shortcut is multiplying the percent by the total, by the whole. Let me write that instead, because that's usually the word that we use. So multiply the percentage by whichever number represents the whole. So our percent is 85 and our whole is 30. But we're not just going to multiply 85 times 30, because to represent this percentage, we have to write this as a decimal. So 85%, just like we see in our proportion here, really means 85 out of 100. If you type in your calculator 85 divided by 100, you get 0.85. So we're not multiplying 30 by 85, we're multiplying it by 85 hundredths. So to figure out how many questions we got correct, we can do 0.85 times the whole 30 questions, and that will give you your answer. So use whichever one of these 3 strategies you like the best in order to solve the problem.